School is the Belgrade's Theatre and Education programme for helping to support young people in the transition from primary to secondary school. It's been running for about 16 years. It comprises of a piece of theatre that goes out into 40 primary schools over the course of 4 weeks and has opportunities for the young people to interact with the theatre and explore some of the issues that they'll be facing in moving from primary school into secondary, which is a very important time in young people's lives. Often if that transition from primary into secondary doesn't go well, then the chances of them achieving and staying in mainstream education rapidly diminish. So it's a very important time to support young people to be able to settle into secondary. The transition from primary to secondary is a challenging one because young people in primary school, obviously they're the oldest, they've settled in, they've been there for a number of years and they feel very comfortable and have responsibilities. When they move up into secondary school, suddenly they're the youngest again, they're often in a building that's a lot bigger, they might be there with some friends, they might be there with no friends, they're certainly there with a lot of young people that they don't know already, they're having to negotiate older people who may be a bit frustrated with the behaviour of younger kids. So there are issues around navigating a larger space, there are issues around making friends, the issues around holding on to your identity. So it's all sorts of things to do with dealing with change. And one of the things that we really try and emphasise in the work that we do is for young people to draw on the potential that they have within them to be able to manage these situations themselves. So we don't take a piece of theatre in to teach kids about how to handle the transition. We take a piece of theatre in to enable them to explore questions that they already have and to try and explore some of the answers as well, so that they know when they're confronted with a situation they have the resources to deal with that situation themselves or know where to look for help. Theatre and education is a really powerful way of teaching or enabling young people to learn, and yet in the current educational climate it's increasingly hard to fund. So in 2015 we're marking the 50th anniversary of the birth of this national and international movement that started here at the Belgrade in Coventry, and yet we have no money to put the work on. And that's for a number of reasons. First of all, with the government devolving funding for education to individual schools, it's becoming increasingly difficult to develop a large project that needs a baseline of funding to be able to develop it in order to go into the different schools. Secondly, it's increasingly challenging because of the increased emphasis from the current government on results. So there's also, in order to achieve those results, people are turning more to conventional forms of education, and more kinesthetic forms of learning are increasingly being marginalised in favour of hitting schools' targets. So it's a real tragedy that theatre and education at this stage is being marginalised. The birth of theatre and education at the Belgrade 50 years ago is a really important marker, not just for Coventry but for the theatre scene nationally and internationally. As a movement it's spread across the country and its practices are now used all over the world, including in theatre and development contexts. So this is something we really want to celebrate in 2015. We have a number of activities lined up. In particular we have a festival of work by and for young people. We wouldn't be giving justice to marking 50 years of theatre and education if the voice of young people themselves through the arts and through theatre wasn't a strong part of the celebration. So July 2015, a big festival of theatre by young people, and then in the autumn of 2015 a conference that marks the 50th anniversary, explores in what way theatre and education has been important to us and continues to be important, exploring the huge range of ways in which the arts is now used in an applied and participatory context, and looking at how we can really send out that message about how important the arts are for young people. So our headline is Inspiring Curiosity and the importance of the arts in making sure we remain curious.